Live and in living color from the Kfnx studios in beautiful downtown Phoenix, where we have snow and 32 degrees. We're having a bright, sunshiny day. The Andrew, Ryan, and Charlie show is now reduced to Andrew and Charlie.
Yeah. Andrew's out sick today, and Ryan is pulling T-shirts or whatever he's doing today.
Well, all righty then. Somebody needs to do it. Is that like pulling pork?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I've never pulled pork.
Me neither, but I've eaten a bunch of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they pull pork. If you have any questions related to locks and keys or criminals in our industry, by all means, feel free to give us a call because we're going to be delighted to tell you all about them.
Absolutely.
And Andrew is going to tell us about his most recent video that he found just the other day.
Oh, yeah, the one I uploaded last night. I did a little review on it. Three guys, I believe, from what I counted in the video, called United Locksmith out of Tucson, which in return ended up going to CSC. I don't know. They gave a bunch of different names, American, a whole bunch of different names. Well, the gentleman in a nice bright orange shirt of our favorite colored locksmith, call orange, happened to show up there. They quoted $75 originally. It was $25 to open the lock and $29 service call. I'm going off my memory here. But they ended up trying to jack the price up to $209 plus the service call and be at $238 roughly, I believe. And then the guy said that's ridiculous because a locksmith that he normally uses wasn't available at that moment, and you guys were a little cheaper than him, and he was only going to charge me $75 to pick the 3 locks open.
And if I remember right, he was actually smart enough in this video to say things like bait and switch. You're gonna give us one price on the phone and then charge us something much higher when you come out. That's illegal in this state, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but he also reiterated, the gentleman on the phone reiterated that, or the locksmith told him that the people on the telephone when you call don't give you a flat rate price, which most locksmiths will give you a flat rate price if you tell them they got 3 locks to pick open. Most
legitimate locksmiths. Yes. The criminals, of course, will stick to their criminal tactics and
up.
And up. Their very favorite words, and up.
Yep. And it's always and up.
Oh, and the technician will tell you when they get out there. They're not going to tell you on the phone, but and it's like the guy on the video was saying, if you've been a locksmith for more than 3 weeks and you know you're going to pick 3 locks, then you should know how much time and trouble that takes, and you should know basically to the penny how much that's going to cost and why there should be any ambiguity like the technician will tell you when they come out, or and up.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was the gentleman also asked him about that Beetle in the video toward the end of it. He goes, well, how much to open my Beetle over there then? Like an 04. The guy's like, well, it starts at $140. But if you don't have that, well, we can work another deal out. And it's like, what? Just give him a flat rate price. Tell him it's $140. If you ain't got the money, he ain't got the money. Then you're going to go down? Then that means you would have gone down originally. We're not,
Yeah, why are we playing Let's Make a Deal instead of going to Safeway and paying $2.84 for a gallon of milk? I mean,
yeah, well, I wish I could go into Safeway and tell them I wanted to pay $0.25 for it.
Yeah. I haven't got quite $2.84. Could you maybe give me a little bit of a deal? Maybe $2?
Yeah. So, but buyer beware. And that's all I ever say in my videos on the YouTube channel, on the Andrew's Lock and Key YouTube channel. It boils down to buyer beware. If you get feeling sour any way, shape, or form, ask for a second opinion. Call another locksmith.
Well, I'll give you some buyer beware. I was over by my house yesterday on my way out and about, and the sign at QT said $2.17 a gallon. Then, as I was on my way to the place where I do get gas, the cheapest place in town that I found, the AM/PM at 16th and Thomas, I saw the other QT at $2.01. And I've complained to QT's offices repeatedly, say, hey, why should QT as a corporation victimize me or punish me for going to the wrong QT? And how am I supposed to know ahead of time which one is $2.17 or which one is $2.01 or why any of them are 20 cents more expensive than the AM/PM? And their responses range from, well, we just go with the prices of stations within a mile of that location, and such excuses as, we don't compete against ourselves. Well, sure you do. If I know the other one's $2.01, I'm not going to go to the one next to my house.
Yeah. Well, I also think it ranges on what gas companies delivering gas and how far they have to go. Because I have a account that owns 4 gas stations in town, and his fluctuate due to the price of making gas get delivered to his place. So if it could be the same company, but it's going to cost him $100 more to have it delivered at this place versus that one. So he has to incur the cost.
Well, their excuse primarily was that they're going to survey all the gas stations within a mile, and they're going to be at the same or be within a penny of all the ones within a mile.
Yeah.
And the cost wasn't necessarily a factor for them.
I've noticed that, though. QT does that. Circle K does the same thing. I mean, the one on Broadway and Hardy is probably the cheapest Circle K I know.
Well,
and then you could go a quarter mile down the road, and it'll be 30 cents cheaper at that Circle K.
I want to say probably 60 or 70% of the Circle Ks are all independently franchised, where 80 or 90%, if not 100% of the QTs are all corporate owned. And I don't know, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they're employee owned.
No, I think they
kind of like UPS.
Yeah. That's why they pay their employees really well.
And that's why, I don't know if you knew this or not, any employee can go in any cash drawer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. If they're missing something, they just go grab it out of another cash drawer. And at the end of the day, I guess they just balance all the money. They don't care about counting down each till like you would in a normal business.
Well, but if you're paying your employees, I think their cashiers make $30,000 a year. They make a good amount of living. So, and a lot of them have been there for 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, well, I would think.
Yeah. All happy faces.
and you can't really do a happy face on the radio very well.
No.
For visual effect.
You can make your sound I can't even say that. I'm not even going to try again.
Good.
But yeah, back to the video. It just boils down to buyer beware, and make sure you find one of us before you need us, and it's not when you need us, or it's not. I don't know, how's that saying go? I'm out of it this morning. It's been a long morning.
It's caveat emptor.
Yeah,
is how that translates to Latin.
Exactly.
Well, we're on.
But we've had a lot of good response on the videos. I'm glad people are sharing them. Tell all your friends, family members to share the videos. They don't want to get scammed at all. When it happens, and it comes fast. So last night, same thing. Another guy was out about 2:30 in the morning. I got a call. Showed up on a 1987 Thunderbird or 92 Thunder. It was an older Thunderbird, and they were quoting like $89 to open it up. I told them $140, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "No, we got a cheaper guy." And I was like, "Okay." Well, he called me back again and said, "This guy's trying to charge us $390." I said, "Send him on his way. My $120 is still the same price."
Break his legs. Get the baseball bat with the spikes out.
So when I was pulling in, he got into his car and left after I'd pulled in, but he was arguing with him all the way up till I got there. So
he just saw Andrew, and he did not want to argue with Andrew's scrawny little self.
No. And I didn't have any backup last night, and I was too tired to deal with it. So I probably would have just, opened the car up and left. That's what I did. Collected my money and went on my way.
Well, there you go.
And the customer was happy. I did cut him a set of free keys, too, because I felt bad for her. It was a 16-year-old girl and her dad there. She was locked out after work.
Well, good. I had that happen yesterday when I was out on a make the keys for the old Ford. And as I was leaving, they said, yeah, could you open a car? There's a girl over there with a Ford that's locked out of the car. And I was, you sure it's not the one I just made keys for? And, no, it's the little red car. And so I only took $20 for opening that one.
Yeah, well,
But I was already there. And
you're already there.
Already made 100, so.
Oh, was that the one that had the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. I that hurts my feelings when I see people doing that to their cars, jamming screwdrivers in them and trying to pull them open. Not something I like to see, because your car may not go back together the same way it was.
Yeah, she's going to have a little spring in that door. When they're doing that on the driver's door, I always open the passenger side. We'll
Absolutely.
be back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen, with The Locksmith Show.
No matter how well you plan, no matter how careful you try to be, emergencies happen. Like when the car doors slam shut at the precise moment you realize your keys are still in the ignition, the baby's firmly secured in the car seat in the back, and now you really need a locksmith. How will you know you're calling a professional you can trust? Did you know that over half the locksmiths advertised in your local phone books are not qualified professionals? A qualified locksmith will arrive at the site in a clearly marked service vehicle. He will ask for your ID and proof that you're the legal owner of the home or vehicle. Always insist on a written price quote before work is begun. Don't place your home, your car, or your family in the hands of unscrupulous strangers. Go to findalocksmith.com, choose a qualified member of the Associated Locksmiths of America, and save the information. There'll be times when you'll be glad you did. Associated Locksmiths of America. Locksmiths you can trust.
Welcome back to The Locksmith Show, where Andrew and Charlie are all alone in the studio.
Yeah, it's a lonely, cold studio today.
Waiting for your calls so that we can help you with your lock and key problems. But in the meantime, I believe we're expecting a call.
Yes, from Mr. Wayne Winton. Should be calling in here in the not too far distant future.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he were going to put him on the phone right now. So, Mr. Wayne, Locksmith Charlie and Andrew here. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, and how are you guys today?
We're great.
I'm classically
Great.
insane, but I have been for years, so nothing new here.
Well, that's good for a Sunday.
Absolutely. So, what's going on in Wayne's world? Oh, you probably get that a lot, huh?
I get that quite a bit. Yes, we do. I just started listening to the show, and I was checking out some of the postings you guys have posted online, the YouTube channel, and think what you guys are doing is great. Andrew's out there like locksmith cop catching these scammers on tape. That's awesome.
Charlie's the one that originally had the idea. I just kind of forced into it one day.
And Charlie wants to take it a step further, but
Okay.
We haven't got there yet. We have to get
but
some.
that's still in the secrecy phases for now. But if you give me a call offline later, I'll tell you all about it.
Okay, great. We'll try and arrange that.
602-717-5397 is the number to call to talk with Charlie. And, of course, the call-in number is 602-277-KFNX.
And my phone number for Andrew's Lock and Key is 480-437-4022. And we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Absolutely.
And Wayne runs a pretty cool little YouTube channel himself about his locksmithing and how he runs his show, basically. It's actually pretty entertaining.
Where are you located at, Wayne?
We're in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. It's kind of right smack dab in the middle of the state. Aspen, Colorado is one of my service areas. It's a really nice little spot. I've got roughly in my full service area within about a 100-mile radius, I've got about 25,000 people roughly, and then centralized, we have a population of about 6,000 people. So, and we still have a lot of the scammer pages coming from the big cities like Denver, advertising here, and we don't have so many centralized and locally, but some of those bigger cities advertisement does spill in to our area where you see, 1999 lockout service and things like that. So even though we're in a rural area, that still is an issue.
So if Denver's the mile high city, are you the 2 mile high city?
No, I don't know our exact elevation, but we're a little bit lower than Denver.
Oh, all right. Because I remember when I was driving from Denver toward the west, I ended up at somewhere around 10,000 feet going through some of those tunnels in the tops of the mountains.
You do up on top of Vail and Vail Pass and Eisenhower Pass. Yeah, you get pretty far up there, but you drop back down a little ways to get into Glenwood here, and then you would go back up as we go into Aspen. So definitely a pretty area, pretty to visit and to drive through, and that's a lot of our business is tourism. So catering to those tourism times a year is one of those things that we do in this local area. Winter and summer being the peak seasons.
So you get a lot of, I've lost my keys in the snow up on that mountaintop.
Yes, we do.
And
skiing and rafting.
And you don't offer to go out there with a metal detector.
No, nope, no metal detectors here.
Well, all right.
So the YouTube channel that we have is Wayne Winton on YouTube, or Tri-County Locksmith on YouTube, and there's a lot of things that can help both the public and other professional locksmiths as well. And one of the big things that I've struggled with is being able to come up with content and information that is helpful and useful to both the professional locksmith and your average consumer, to inform them about things that are going on in the security industry and what can actually be posted without giving away industry secrets as well. It's hard to draw that line as to what information we can and cannot post publicly.
Well, I think you're always going to have the DIY guys out there. And on YouTube, you can find just about anything you want to find. So
exactly.
Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it if you don't do it. Is the way I look at it.
That's what I tell a lot of people too. Is that I do get a little bit of backlash from the industry professionals. About telling people how to change stuff or how to set up their own locks or install deadbolts or whatnot. But that's the exact same thing I tell them. The DIYers they're gonna Google or do whatever they do, and they're gonna find it whether I post it or somebody else does.
Yeah, and our industry is a pretty secretive industry in aspects of we don't like to give out all the tips and tricks that we have.
Well, and a lot of it is by necessity. We can't just be giving everybody in the world all kinds of bypass techniques, but some of the stuff people put out on YouTube. I went out on a call one time on a Type 1 Honda, the one with the red key and the black key and all that. Well, they actually had the red key and the black key. They wanted me to help them program keys into the vehicle that they had just changed things around in or something. And they had wires from underneath the dashboard coming up and wrapping around the red key that was in the ignition. And I'm like, what in the world is this? Oh, we saw that on YouTube.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
That's horrible.
And about the time that my programmer would not connect to the engine control unit is about the time that I says, hey, see ya.
Yeah, you cut too many wires of your own.
Yeah, I'm not playing with this one.
Sometimes YouTube
that's not a good one.
Not give you the right answer.
That's one to walk away from. I've had a couple different situations where I had to walk away from the customer too, just because sometimes a customer is on the verge of insanity, and even though we outfit the whole entire home with high security locks that we know people aren't picking, we know people aren't making extra keys for, because I'm the only one that can make it, and they're still claiming that people are coming in. Some of those type of situations you just have to walk away from. There is no fix for that particular customer or person.
No.
Well, in one case, we had a guy like that in California when I worked for AA Lock, and we had Medico on his apartment. and he was still insisting that someone was still rearranging his soup cans. So one of our guys, one of the very expensive lead technician guys, took a great deal of time to fabricate a specially shaped hinge that would cover up the keyhole on the Medico padlock. It was actually in the form of a hasp. And then when we gave him the Sergeant Greenleaf 8088 padlock, the military spec padlock combination lock to put over that, then he was convinced that no one was getting in. So, and then a few years after this guy died, his family came in and says, look, we know we spent a lot of money here, and we just want to thank you for taking care of this guy, even though we all know that he was nuts. We're just glad that you didn't belittle him, that you just went and did whatever he wanted you to do and took care of him.
Yeah, as long as you're not taking him to the cleaners. So.
Yeah, exactly. At least you made him feel comfortable, even though that almost seemed like an impossible task. That's awesome.
I have a little old lady who's just like that, and I call her sister, her daughter, every time she calls me.
And she doesn't live in a shoe.
No. She
right.
I call her daughter and say, hey, your mom wants me to come over and rekey the house again. She's like, okay, go ahead and go do it. How much is it? It's $105 like it always is. Okay. It just makes her mom feel a lot safer thinking, and I'll rekey it 4 times, 5 times a year. And nobody goes there. Nobody. The caregiver who she's had for the last 10 years, same gal. So, but they just have it because she feels more comfortable. So.
Exactly. That's part of our job, is to make the customer feel better about themselves and feel safe in their home.
Yep.
Sometimes that you have to go to a little more extreme to do so. But at the end of the day, as long as the customer feels better and you give them that peace of mind, that's exactly what our job definition is.
Exactly, and that's to feel safe and secure in your own house is what we like to do when we leave, and never leave a sour taste in your mouth thinking, I don't want to call that guy back in. I need to call another locksmith because they were just here. And I've had that happen before, where I've had to come over rekey somebody's house if there was another lock company there because I didn't feel safe with that locksmith rekeying their house.
Yeah, and I always tell the customer when I get done, don't forget, call again real soon. And they look at me and say, I hope I don't have to see you real soon. But if I do, you're the guy we're going to call. Hey, hang on past the break if you want to talk some more. But for now, we're going to hop off to local news and weather. And the Locksmith Show will be right back.
No matter how careful you may be, emergencies happen, like when you really need a locksmith. And how will you know you're calling a qualified professional you can trust? Over half of advertised locksmiths are not qualified professionals. At findalocksmith.com, our locksmiths are qualified professionals. Be prepared. Visit findalocksmith.com, choose a qualified member, and save the information. There'll be times when you'll be glad you did. Associated Locksmiths of America. Locksmiths you can trust.
Welcome back to the Locksmith Show, where we have in the studio Andrew Locksmith Charlie and very remotely from Colorado, Mr. Wayne Winton.
Yes, thank you. Good to be back on here.
Don't forget, guys, any of our Phoenix listeners or the Phoenix metropolitan area, at 12 noon, Charlie and I are out in the parking lot, and we will cut you a set of free keys as long as it's not a transponder.
Yes, come and visit, and free house key or non-transponder car key, we're going to hook you up. So come by and visit. And if you go outside of Wayne's studio out there in Colorado, he'll give you a free snowball.
Yes. Well, the snow's melting pretty fast.
I was going to say, it's got to be almost
I just wanted to thank you guys for letting me talk on your show and inviting me to talk here. And the last subject that I just kind of wanted to cover is the YouTube channel is free and public. And like I said, it is a little bit difficult to determine what information is appropriate to go on a public channel like that to not inspire crime, but to, help people out with mechanical situations. But there is also a privatized website that I run for locksmiths as well. wayneslockshop.com. That's where the real good stuff is. It's the largest collection of online dedicated locksmith videos that cover everything from vehicle openings to safe work to panic hardware, lock programming, all of the above, and it's all video-based and interactive, so you can actually leave posts and interact as well. So that was kind of my solution on how to be able to get information out, but make sure it gets to the right people. And that site is completely vetted. You have to go through a process. If your state requires licensing, you have to prove that before you're accepted.
So is Wayne an Aloha member?
I am. SAFTA and Aloha both.
Are you going to SafeTech?
Probably not. It's a little far for me.
Well, it's a lot far for me, and I had it on my list of things I really wanted to do until I got the word.
Where's it at?
Nicholasville, Kentucky, and Sergeant Greenleaf is having a grand opening of their new facility. And I really wanted to go see that until I got the word.
What's the word?
Hey.
The word is they're confiscating all cell phones and cameras on the way in. And so you can't take any pictures of any kind. And for me, that's kind of like, well, gee, what's the point?
Well,
If I can't put a couple of pictures in my computer for later reference or into my book that somebody's going to write for me after I'm dead, then, what's the point?
yeah, they're just trying to keep security there.
Yeah, well, obviously they don't want anybody to know their processes and maybe figure out. Wayne, did you hear about that new device called the Kfnx? And if so, have you had any experience with it?
Is that the safe lock opener, the electronic safe lock opening device?
For the S&G 6120.
Yeah.
Yes, I have heard of that, and Lockmaster's new black box too. I've heard of both and done some research on both. They look like great ideas. I'm personally waiting for the price to come down a little bit. They're pretty pricey as far as much safe work as I do in this area. We do a lot of electronic locks, but usually they're like American Security, ESL 10s, ESL 20s. We've kind of phased the 6120s out of most of this area.
Well, yeah, and I never have liked that whole worm gear design that they have on those things at all. It's just like there's too much stuff with that could go wrong, where a solenoid is just a lot cleaner application for a safe lock.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you seen the new Extreme Safe Logic with mechanical redundant dial from Securam?
I believe I've seen pictures and read the description, but I've not played with any.
I got one, and I was able to play with it, and it's a very, very cool design. It's a swing bolt, so it doesn't actually have to retract the bolt. And if the batteries die or there's ever a problem with it or a malfunction, you can dial it in with a mechanical redundant dial as well. A very, very unique product.
I've always wondered about the intelligence or lack thereof of the companies that design their safe locks with the batteries inside the container. I mean, really? Really?
Yep.
And the customer's safe, or their keys are always in the safe too. It's the safest spot for them.
Oh yeah, and the people
The override key.
Yep.
and the people that are going to lock their combination inside the safe, so they're not going to lose it.
That's the best place for it for a locksmith, right? That's
Exactly.
lots of work.
Yeah, it'll generate us some work. That's true enough. So I'm anticipating a couple of weeks from now being very, very busy for maybe another couple months. A company affiliated with Diebold is talking about assigning me another 57 chase branches to go out and take off the whatever kind of locks are on the safes. Now, of course, they're going to be goofy and call them vaults, which we all know they're not. But and replace them with the Kaba spin the dial to power it up, so you don't have to worry about batteries. And they're all push buttons, so that should be a fairly good adventure to go out and do all of those. I did, I think, 87 of them last year, so doing another 50 or something starting next month should be hopefully keeping me really busy.
I'm sure it will be.
That sounds like it'll keep you busy.
Those Kaba locks are fun to play with.
Yeah, and
They are. Yeah, I've done a few of them.
And they're very easy to put on and consumer friendly. And I don't know how a time or two we've encountered situations where they couldn't figure out how to do their master combination thing correctly, but yeah, give people a sheet of instructions and they still can't follow them.
That's everybody. I don't follow instructions. I throw them away.
Well, me too, and that's why I've got the 4 rubber feet of the Ninja laser pointing toward the ceiling of my van now.
That doesn't seem like the position it should be, unless it's hanging from the ceiling. Then I'd like to see that mount.
No, I'm just being
80-pound
silly.
machine. I know you are. 80-pound machine upside down is not a. It's a heavy little booger. That's for sure.
Is most of your work automotive, or do you do a lot of residential and commercial too, or what all do you get into out there?
I am dedicated to safe and vault work first and foremost, and then commercial work. I work with a lot of national security providers. So we do a lot of commercial work, panic hardware, door closers, fire exits, alarming devices, etc., and conventional residential work. There's a lot of homes up here that are rented by the season, investment properties where people come in and they live for 4 months to ski or raft or hike or bike, and then they move out. So there's a lot of property management companies that have these really nice homes with, 10, 12 exit doors, and every time somebody comes in and they don't get all their keys back, it's time to rekey.
Yeah.
Usually once a year. So that's the basics of my work. I do vehicle openings, but I don't generate vehicle keys. My van is already stuffed to the brim with equipment to do that, what I already do.
Well, now, when you're talking about the seasonal people and all that, unless they have high security locks like Medico or ASA or something, don't you encourage your consumers to rekey in between each set of tenants every time?
You can encourage all that you like, and of course I do. However, like I said, most of these homes have 10, 12, 13 doors on the exterior alone. It becomes fairly expensive to do that twice a year. I do at least tell them to make do not duplicate keys, so that can at least somewhat control the keys that get made. I know we all know that people put stickers and tape on them and can get them copied anyways. But for the most part, there are wholesome families that are coming down here to vacation. They're not really looking to come back. So I do encourage security first and foremost. However, getting them to pay for that each time is up to them.
You do know that Aloha changed the policy on D&D keys, right?
I'm not aware of that. What did they do?
I'm thinking we're going to get knocked into a break any second here, so stick around for another couple of minutes, and I'll explain my understanding of it in just a minute when we come back.
Thanks, Greg.
Welcome back to the Locksmith Show. I'm here in the studio with Andrew, who's stepped out for a minute, and we have Wayne Winton from Colorado on the line. And I guess Andrew's going to miss out on my little explanation. Once upon a time, when I worked for AA Lock in Menlo Park, California, I almost got fired when I bypassed company policy, suggesting to the customer that instead of the letter of authorization on the company letterhead talking about how many keys to make and who to give them to, that if he were to just write an authorization on the back of his business card, which I thought was just, like a little miniature letterhead. But that's what Aloha's policy used to be. You had to have the customer write a letter of authorization on the company letterhead specifying how many keys to give to who and all like that. So a few years ago when I acquired a shop back in late 2001, early 2002, I was going to frame a copy of this and put it up on the wall. And so when I called Aloha to talk about it, they says, well, no, we've changed things a little bit. I'm like, what do you mean? And they say, well, Aloha now in the technical standards policy that talk about do not duplicate keys, Aloha discourages the marking of keys do not duplicate, and instead, in a form of kissing the behinds of the big manufacturers, if the customer wants to have key control, then it is recommended that the customer get restricted or patent protected keys and stay away from marking keys do not duplicate.
Okay.
And that actually shocked me as well. I mean, that was just silly.
So you're saying Aloha's new policy is just not to offer do not duplicate keys in the common keyway?
Technically, I think that's what it basically says.
Yeah,
okay.
and you can go online onto aloha.org and you can hunt down the what they call the technical standards policy. I believe it's number 5 on there, and I don't remember it word for word, and I don't have it immediately available on my little tablet thing here. But yeah, Aloha is basically not recommending that people do D&D keys anymore. And frankly, if it was me and you had that kind of arrangement with those kinds of houses, I would offer the owners a master key that would continue to work all the keys in the house, and then have maybe 2 or 3 doors that would be the most commonly used by the renters, and just have those on a change key so that you wouldn't have to go through and rekey every key on the house, just the 2 or 3 most commonly used ones, and just issue new change keys.
Absolutely, and I offer that as an option, and some do take me up on that option. There's more than just the renters coming in there. Most of these places have the property maintenance company have cleaning people that come in, plumbers, et cetera, and I have mentioned that to save them money in the future. Some have gone ahead and taken that advice, and some have not, whereas the rest, like you just said, the rest of the house would operate off the master key, and then the main entry, be it the front door or garage entry, would be the ones that we would change out constantly. And we've had varying success with that. Even sometimes they will hand out the master key to the cleaning people and then fire the cleaning people, and we're still right back to square one. So engaging the customer and getting exactly what they need done, and then having them follow through with your suggestions doesn't always happen.
No,
But those
not
are things to do. Yeah.
Well, if you
But definitely, those are all great options.
If you take a look at the front page on locksmithcharlie.com, I'm pretty sure that's where it is. There's a little posting that I took off ClearStar a few years ago that is the reason why people should always rekey after one tenant and before another one.
Yeah.
And I don't recall the story just right off the top of my head, but it was very on point where if you don't do this, you can end up having somebody hurt and be liable for a great deal of damages if the wrong person were to come back.
Yeah, and it happens. I mean,
it does happen.
It happens all the time.
Happen.
I know of a couple of property management companies here that don't do a very good job of rekeying their houses at all. Or there's other ones that like to have key control, and you end up with best IC cores on people's houses because they think they can change their own locks. But then the customer's having a dickens of a time trying to get keys made for it. And
all of our new favorites, the Kwikset smart keys.
Those are
People
garbage.
think they're
60%.
they're getting away. They're getting away with murder with that.
Have you seen their new one?
Yeah, I've seen most all of them. I've even seen the ones that are master keyed that have the two different cylinders.
Yes, they have two different cylinders.
Complexes.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
Why?
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
Well, first off, those locks are horrible.
Well, aside from the cylinders themselves having too many moving parts and being junk, why do you think the separate cylinder on a different keyway for the manager to have?
Well, it's not a different keyway.
Yes, it is.
KW1.
No.
Oh, the one I slid one into yesterday was a KW1.
Not unless somebody put a different cylinder in it. The way they come is there's a master keyway and a user keyway.
The one I encountered had both Kwikset as well. Yeah. They're just adding more. That's just adding more mechanical parts to an already failing lock. And that's one of my more popular videos is actually deconstructing one of those locks, and there's plastic inside. I mean, there's places and times for plastic, but inside a security device is obviously not one of them.
No, but that's the Home Depot brand. You know, you can pull out the spindles on every single Kwikset lock that comes out of Home Depot or Walmart or Lowe's or any of the box stores, and they're all going to have plastic spindles in them. And I showed that to the customer.
Yeah, there was a plastic part inside a Lagarde manipulation-proof lock that caused us to drill 7 holes in the jewelry store's safe to get it open over a 2-day time period. It was a International Fortress or something safe. That was quite the adventure. And yeah, we did shoot a hole in the side first, and my buddy Warren stuck his scope in there and looked around and says, "I don't see any glass." And so, of course, we go right through the front, and the next thing I hear is the breaking glass. And fortunately, only one of the 2 relockers actually went off, even though the glass broke. And we only had to drill one more side hole in it to get that one pushed back. It was kind of a fun adventure.
That sounds like a good challenge for the day.
Oh, and then there was another one. Didn't have glass in it, but the guy was so very upset. I got there right around 11 a.m., and he's talking about, "Look, I have people coming in from out of town. We have to get this thing open because I have to get that 2 pounds of cocaine out of there."
Oh, no.
That's what he said?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he had to get out the marijuana and the heroin and all that stuff that was in there. And he's like, "You got to get that thing open quick." And I'm like, "Sir, you don't understand. The safe is made to keep people out, and this is a very well-constructed container. It's going to take some time." And by the time we got it open, somewhere around 6 p.m. and 20 drill bits later, he was happy that we got it open. And but somewhere around noon or 1, he's like, what do I tell all these other people that are coming from out of town? And well, you might think about telling them tomorrow. Well, but no. We have to get these drug dogs trained today. Well, the training didn't start till after 6. But we did get his cocaine and marijuana and heroin and all that out of his little safe. Funny part is he said, "I got the safe to open after I changed the combination before I left town, but now that I came back to town, now it won't open." And I think there was some, forbidden zone action going on in the combination that he didn't know about. And but I always thought that would stop him from getting it to lock up, not open.
Not open.
In any case, we got it open.
Nice.
That's all that matters.
And those drug dogs could sniff their coke all night long.
That's right.
Poor drug dogs.
No, happy drug dogs. They got a lot of treats.
They stopped. Oh, sorry. I think they stopped. American Security used to send out change keys, and some of the other safe companies used to send out change keys with the safe when you'd purchase it. But that only increased the lockouts rather than helping the customer change their own combination. It created more problems than it solved.
Yes, it did.
Well, fortunately, the ones they send out with like the ESL 5s and ESL 10s are fairly easy to change, and as long as they don't forget their numbers, they won't get locked out.
Yeah. And
yeah,
if you guys
and American Security can have an override code for them too, most of the time,
yeah.
depending on where it came from.
And all you consumers out there that like changing your safe combinations by yourself, just do it with the door open. Make sure it works several times before you close it.
Yeah, make sure it works 2, 3, 4, 6 times before you close that door.
My rule is 3, even for me.
Yep.
There you go.
All righty, guys. Well, thank you for having me on your show today. We'll look forward to continue to listen. And if there's anything, any other topics that you think would be helpful with, feel free to let me know and give me a call.
We'll definitely chat with you. And any of you lock guys out there that want to get on Wayne's Lock Shop channel, it's wayneslockshop.com.
And we'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen, on the